Hello, everybody. Welcome to Better Together with me, the birthday girl, and Steven, the birthday boy.
Woo!
Yes, it is our birthday. It is June 8th. It is also Kanye West's birthday and Juliana Margulies' birthday. Every year I get that alert that's like, here are the birthdays on June 8th. But the fact that Steven and I share the birthday, we're having a special birthday episode today. Of course, we are here because when you know better, you get better. I think sometimes people forget that and have very little forgiveness, but at the end of the day, you don't know until you know. And then when you know, you have the option to do better. And that's what we're here to do every day. We're here to learn, we're here to grow, we're here to get better. And we are going to start with our quote of the day. And it's from our guest, who we are very excited to have back. He is one of our top performing guests on this show because everybody wants a better brain. So our quote of the day is, if an egg is broken by an outside force, life ends. If broken by an inside force, life begins. Great things always begin from the inside. And that is Jim Kwik, our guest today. We are very excited to learn from him today and figure out how to get better in the noggin. We have a special guest alongside Jeff and Steven. Our AfterBuzzer TV host and writer, Sanaa Moore, is with us. Sanaa, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm so excited.
Of course. You know, we last week our show kind of shifted into obvious, newsworthy, relevant stuff because of everything that was going on. I try to stay out of politics in general on this show because I don't enjoy those conversations in general. So whenever political things are going on, I don't get involved. But COVID happened, I got involved. Black Lives Matter happened, I got involved. And so I really wanted to hear from you. You've been such a rock star in our writers' meetings.
You.
Like I told you, I think it was a few weeks ago, I called you out because Kevin's like, I love this Sanaa. Sanaa's amazing. I'm in bed. He's like, and Sanaa this and Sanaa that. And so when I thought about whose voices we could help amplify this week, I thought of you first. And
thank you.
I'm excited to have you be on the show and share a little bit about what you've seen kind of on the front lines. You have been out there protesting, and I just want to know what you've been seeing.
Yes, it's been a lot. I've seen all type of stuff that I thought was just on television. I've been able to see everything. And I remember, just walking and seeing the tanks, the army tanks, and the National Guard here, especially when it just happened and Trump did his whole announcement. And then I look outside and all I see is army troops here, policemen here. And it was crazy because in the part of Los Angeles that I live, it's pretty fun. It's always people outside. And the dynamic totally changed. And that was alarming for me as well, too. It's been a whirlwind of emotions, though. Protesting.
I can only imagine. I feel like, do you live in Hollywood or West Hollywood?
I live in the Hollywood area.
Okay.
It's like on the borderline, like close to West Hollywood, too.
What has it been like living on the front lines? And you know what, Jeff? I have never asked you that either because you live in West Hollywood, right?
Yeah, and again, really close to the border of Hollywood. So, now I'll let you go first, but I can speak to it as well.
Yeah, it's been crazy. So going back to when COVID-19 and the pandemic happened, I've never seen Hollywood closed in a way. Like I've never seen it quiet.
Yeah.
So I now know what it's like to be with no noise and no people. And then being able to have the Black Lives Matter movement and everything going on. It's like the noise and everything is back. So now I feel back in limbo with things.
But
the way
interesting, the dynamic of the extremes. I didn't even think of that. You guys went from absolute silence to
yeah.
absolute loud and force and madness, like so much going on, good and bad.
Yeah, it's insane when you really think about it, because I can hear, like, normally I hear sirens and stuff, but now you're hearing like shouting, you're hearing sirens, you're hearing sometimes you can hear just like screams. It's so much going on, and it can be heavy on your heart as well, because sometimes I just want to break mentally, and it's like you can't, because you live dead in the center of it 24/7. So even like walking down, I remember when I was protesting about this, even the stance of the police officers in the beginning of it. It was so like, I want to say, yeah, aggressive in a way. It was very like tough, macho. Even if you're looking at them, they can sometimes come off aggressive and trying to be intimidating to us. So it's been really crazy just trying to navigate through life now, knowing that the police officers in some ways can discriminate you against just by the color of your skin.
Yeah. What was your craziest moment? Because you've been out there for at least a few days now.
Yes. I have a few. But one of my craziest moments is when I was protesting, and it was we were walking, I forgot what street exactly we were walking down, and one of the frontliners for real, who's like head on with the protest, they shot at him with a rubber bullet, and he was walking, and we were walking behind him and stuff, and they shot him, and it was still daylight out, and I don't think it was the curfew yet, and he got shot at. And another lady, she got shot at, and her rubber bullet went through her pants. And
through her hands?
Her pants.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes. And the whole time, like, we're just like, what's going on? Like, we're scared, because we're like, are you okay? That was the first thing all of us were thinking. We're like, are you okay? Are you okay? Like, some of the protesters were helping him as he's like limping. So it was traumatizing even to watch that and to see that. And also being cornered by the police too, as they're trying to like cave in on us. The first like couple days and like 2-3 days of protesting, when it was becoming a nationwide thing, was crazy. People were saying like, don't bring your kids there, because it can get out of control. And sometimes the police can use force, like what you see on television, what you see on Twitter, Instagram, of some of the police, not all, but some of the police who've abused their power, who've beaten people or pulled their guns unnecessarily. That's, traumatizing. And I know it's traumatizing for me. I know a lot of us will need therapy after this as well. And Black people, we definitely need therapy for all the stuff that we've gone through in America. But especially now, it's really showing now that it's not just it's not a Black issue, or like it's Black versus white. That's not the issue right now. It's like either right or wrong. It's no gray areas to this. It's no like, it's very Black or white. Like, there's no gray areas to this. We've seen the videos, we can do the research, and we know what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong.
Yeah. It's I can only imagine what kind of living there as a Black woman would feel like. I mean, I just know myself, I'm over the hill. I don't mean an age. I'm over the physical hill. That's so weird to say on your birthday.
Happy birthday!
I have gone through like a roller coaster of emotions, and I am very empathetic. And so I feel a lot, and I can't even talk about it. So I actually try not to talk sometimes, because I'm tired of crying. But it's so heavy, and I've removed myself from the news after I had brain surgery 3 years ago on this day. Shit, I didn't even think of that. 3 years ago on this day. Right about now, they were pretty deep in my brain. And I removed myself from the news because it was so depressing. And I just didn't want to be a part of it anymore. That's why I said, like, I don't even do it on the show. I remove myself from all of it, and I try to continue learning and growing and keeping as positive as I can, because I feel like we have choices on what we choose to focus on. And so I try to choose my focus well. Then COVID-19 happened. And so the same thing happened in the beginning. I was like a roller coaster, and I was like glued to the news, and the more news I consumed, the more depressed I got. And then eventually I was like, okay, I think I know enough. I'm out. And then I got happier. And Jim Kwik, our guest today, will talk to us about digital delusion, digital distraction, and how much of it affects our brains and our chemistries in our bodies. And then this happens. And so the same thing. And I'm so depressed that, first of all, we even have to have these conversations. Like, why are we, like, how do people not see we're all people? We all bleed the same. We all cry the same. We are the same. And yet we're not.
Yeah. And it's crazy. It's also interesting you bring that point up as well, because I remember my grandmother telling me stories about what it was like. And then, my mom telling me stories, and now I have stories that I can tell my children. And when I was telling my nieces and nephews about what I endured and what it was like, and sending pictures, they were like, what? That's crazy. And my sister was saying, one of my nieces asked, like, why do they treat us like this?
Yeah.
And it's sad. She's 10.
Yeah. As Dr. Dan Siegel told us the other day on the show, he's like, there's a little more melatonin in the skin. What are we talking about? And it's sad that that it hasn't stopped at your generation, and that but I will say the progress is as evident as ever when you see 20,000 people marching yesterday, and this is still going strong. And the fact that all 50 states, and even in suburbs, the protests came up to our neighborhood this weekend. And when I found out, I was like, Kevin, we have to go. And I've been protecting my parents because they're quarantining with us. But I was like, okay, we'll go in the car. And so I had the sign, and I was hanging out the car, and we were honking at everybody. And then I was like, well, I guess we could walk, because we'll just stay really far behind everybody, And so then we started walking really far behind everybody. And, when everybody was across the street kneeling, I was on the other side kneeling with Kevin. And so, we felt so emotional getting to participate in history, because I do believe change is upon us. We're in the midst of change. You're seeing policy changing. People are trying to make adjustments because, unfortunately, they're being forced. I mean, unfortunately, it has to go that way, that they have to be forced to do the right thing, but it's happening. And as Tabitha Brown, my new favorite person?
Yep.
I love her.
That's obsessed. My girl. So now I'm getting her on the show. You'll have to co-host that day. I am obsessed with her. Again, as she said, finish the job. She's like, I know you're tired. But that keeps sticking in my head. And that's where I think you need your reinforcements. You need the rest of us to stand with you guys. And it's so important that we finish the job together. We are better together. And if we can listen to the words of Tabitha, and I posted her on my Instagram, one of the biggest roles you have as an interviewer is to listen, right? So I've gotten really good at listening. And if more people listened, and as she says, weren't quick to judge, quick to, respond and react and all of that, and if we just led with some compassion on every side, lead with some compassion, lead with some forgiveness, lead with love, lead with peace, lead with understanding, things would be so much better.
Mm-hmm. They would. And we have to listen to each other, and we have to also understand that, and accepting what's happened through history, and accepting that Black people, once a lot of people understand that Black people are or the only people that don't get human rights. We get killed. I remember even being in a car. I remember driving. I don't like driving for real, because I've been pulled over one time when I was in Chicago, and I was told, why are you on this side of town? You live on this side. And I talk with my hands, and when I get nervous, I continue to talk with my hands. And he thought I was trying to fight him, and he's a white cop, and he thought I was trying to fight him and attack him. So he brought his partner to the other side of my car, and it's only me. I think I was like 19 or 20 at the time. And those type of interactions are not positive. And I think also, a lot of the time we're calling for reform. We're calling for the justice system to include Black people. The civil rights movement was huge. The protests lasted over 300 days. And it's until
Did it really? I didn't even know that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
And there's so much in history, even in history books. You don't know a lot about Black inventors. You don't know about our history and where we come from. And I even said in an open letter that I wrote, Black people, we were stripped of our native tongue. I don't know. A lot of us, we don't know what part of Africa we're from. Yeah. We don't know that. Some people, I saw a picture on Twitter of a Black boy in a cage, and it was two white girls, smiling next to it as if like he's an animal. We've been treated like this for so long, and now, especially with my generation, enough is enough. Yep. And I even told a cop when I was protesting, call your people out. When you see things that are not well, and I tell some of my, white friends that I do have, or white people that ask, how can we help? Call people out. When you see something wrong and you see something that does not sit right and you know that it's wrong, call them out. Yep. Yeah. And let them know that this is not okay. Because if we continue this behavior and we continue being passive and just saying, oh, well, you shouldn't say, call them out, because it'll come. If it comes from another white person and you're calling another white person out, they'll receive it and see like, wow, yeah, someone who looks like me doesn't think this is right.
Yeah, agreed. And educate yourself. Like Kevin and I watched the Grant documentary on the History Channel, and learned all about, the civil rights movements and all of that. You have to educate yourself. History was not my favorite subject in school. Neither. Everybody forced Greek mythology on me because I was Greek. I didn't like that either.
Oh yeah.
But I am educating myself and trying to learn so that I can be better too. In the meantime, Sanat, you have really been an incredible writer on our staff. You're such,
thank you.
Kevin has spoken so highly of everything. I've been reading everything that you're doing as well. So I thank you for your contribution and for helping get the message out. And
thank you.
Yeah, you're really great. And I have to say, we have to get to our interview because he has a hard out. But before I get to that, I forgot all about what was to the right because I got so focused over here. But I walked in this morning and there are cakes and all kinds of things going on over here. So I have to acknowledge, it says, to Maria from a boy no longer in his 20s. Oh my God. Kevin always used to say, he called Kevin a boy in his 20s. Let's see what he's got. Oh, it's a mug. Mayo makes my hair shiny. Oh my God, a Big Ed mug.
Big Ed?
Big Ed, who was trending last night on Twitter for, I don't know, people hating on him. I didn't see the tell-all other than what I've seen him do on 90 Day Fiance and his not very kind behavior towards Rose, that he doesn't like to really acknowledge. And then then I did see last night a little bit of it, and he threw his daughter under the bus. He's like, I was willing to go back into love with you and abandon my daughter again. And she's literally on the Zoom,
What?
and she starts bawling, and she's like, you were willing to ruin your relationship with me again over this woman?
Oh, God.
The guy
I
just puts
have
his
to
foot
see
in his
the
mouth.
tell-all.
Now you can drink coffee out
Are
of
you
them.
a 90 Day fan?
Oh, an enthusiast. I love it. I've been watching it from the get-go.
It is the best. Okay, so
I
Steven,
feel-
this is amazing. Thank you. I don't know what this is. To Maria from June 8th. We'll see what this means. Hold on. Another mug. Oh my God, Darcy, I don't need love.
I love these mugs.
Steven, you're a genius. This is hilarious. Oh my God, my 90 Day Fiance dreams have come true. Okay, and then I see my banana nut. What do you call it? Banana nut bread?
It's like the poppy seed bread we do for
poppy
Christmas.
seed prepared in an OCD sanitized kitchen by a masked and gloved baker. You and Laura, thank you so much.
Very careful, yes.
What is this cake?
You know, we just thought it seemed like a good for the morning. Strawberry shortcake would be good. And you don't need to read that now, but there's something small in there, Maria. And I don't know if you saw, there's a squirrel on the front.
I know, I love squirrels.
But that little paper actually is my small little gift that I think you'll like. It's
Thank
I made
you.
a small donation to the West Side German Rescue, the German Shepherd Rescue. So
That's how he's going to be friends with Max.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Yeah, exactly.
You guys, so sweet. Thank you so much. I know Steven and I celebrated with mini, like a mini event this
It's
weekend.
like a small celebration.
It was like 5 people. But we were like, you know what? It's like everybody needs to smile after being in quarantine for so long. And so
We had our party hats, we had our party masks, and our party gloves.
well, we have to learn how to eventually regather. So I think it's about time for very small groups.
yeah,
You know?
yeah, for sure. All right. Well, listen, let's get to our chat with the great Jim Kwik. He is the founder of Kwik Learning and a widely recognized world expert in speed reading, memory improvement, brain performance, and accelerated learning. Jim's first appearance on our show, like I said, is one of our most popular episodes, and he's here today to discuss his new book, Limitless, which is currently on the New York Times bestseller list and has been since it came out. We're going to talk about how we can master our brains during this time of crisis. And Jim says there's never been a better time for this book to come out because of those teachings. So Jim, thank you so much for joining us.
Maria, thanks for having me back, and happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you. I wondered if you could remember that maybe by next year. Like, will you remember without a calendar reminder or...
Talk about being better. Our world is a better, brighter, more beautiful place because you were born. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So I'm a huge fan. We've had you come speak at AfterBuzz to all of our hosts, and they have all been so moved by that day and have learned so much that they've been able to apply and opening up their brains and upgrading them. This book is next level. And I want to start with, you said that there's never been a better time for this book to come out. And I'm curious, before I jump in with my thoughts, why do you say?
Well, I think we're at an interesting time in human history right now. That the book, originally we got asked if we wanted to move it to the fall. And the book is, for me, is more than a book on speed reading and learning languages and remembering names, things you and we've talked about in your show before. This book is about managing your mind in times of crisis. It's about how to regain your focus or your performance when you have forced work from home, or how do you support your children when they're not in school, or how do you maintain a positive attitude and make positive progress in disturbing, uncertain times? How do you support your fellow humans, on this quest that we all, desire and deserve to live and live a just and fulfilling life? And so this book shows you, really, it's an owner's manual for your mind, which really is controlling everything else. And I feel like it's an important conversation to have, today.
So let's start with mindset. It's interesting. We had Dr. Dan Siegel, who I'm sure you're very familiar with, on the show the other day, and he was talking about mindset. Give me your definition of mindset.
So for me, our mindset are the set of assumptions and attitudes we have about something. So it could be our attitudes and assumptions about how the world works, our attitudes, assumptions about fairness, about justice, our attitudes, assumptions about health, our attitudes, assumptions about education, our attitudes, assumptions about our own life. Things that would fall in this category are things like what you believe is possible, things that would fall in this, what you believe you're capable of, things like what you believe you deserve, what you believe is right, what you believe is fair. All that for me would fall under mindset.
And how does it help us in this moment where you're
Yeah.
seeing um, when you're seeing the fact that people have to beg for their basic human rights, right? And you're seeing people on the other side who want to deny it, who want to deny it in every way, whether it's real in their minds or whether they don't want them to have equal rights, right? Like Sana is here, and we were chatting about it a little earlier. How do we change their mindset? And are we able to change their mindset, or do they have to change their mindset?
Yeah, so this is a great question, and this is a deep conversation. So let's unpack that. I love the earlier segment, Sana. So it's good to see you here.
Thank
Um,
you.
the basis of the conversation that I'm looking to have with people is the question I'm getting a lot on social media, having wrote a book called Limitless, is how do you become limitless in a limited world, right? And
Yep.
it's an interesting conversation, and I really do believe that that we do it. The answer to that is we do it together. That we could be limitless together. That, like you say, better together. And so, how can you go about changing things? I think there's three areas that need to change for any progress to be made. Because limitless is not about being perfect. Limitless is about advancing and progressing towards what's possible, towards what's just, towards what's fair. And so there are three areas that we need to unlimit in order to have transformation to happen. And I talk about that in the book, meaning that this book initially was a book purely about methodology. It was about the subtitle of Limitless is Upgrade Your Brain, Learn Anything Faster, and Unlock Your Exceptional Life. And I believe everybody has a right to an exceptional life. And so, more than even just learning, I think it starts with learning, and we all have to go through a learning process. Even 2020, I think it's an incredible spark for global reflection. To be able to check in. Sometimes it takes adversity or difficulty for us to be able to question like norms and what is normal, or it takes a pandemic for us to go inside, and maybe solitude is a good time for self-reflection and really connect with what's most important to us in life. But when I talk about in the book unlimiting has to happen in three areas for progress to happen. And I call this the limitless model. So I want everyone to do what we did last time. We turned into a master class and we were memorizing like brain foods and how to
Mm-hmm.
remember names and all that. I want everyone just to picture a Venn diagram. A Venn diagram
By
are
the way,
just
Jim, just FYI, that was so perfectly timed, but because I ended up buying so much dark chocolate in the COVID crisis, and every night I was eating a massive bar of Ghirardelli's dark chocolate, chocolate, and I had no guilt. So
good.
anyhow, okay, so go back to the graph. Sorry to distract.
So I want just to think about, you could draw it out. I would recommend it because this is the framework I see progress through.
Yeah, I have it
And you
right here.
use it as means to look at your life or other people's lives around you. And if there's a point where you feel constrained, or somebody is constrained, they're not making progress, like think about, okay, so let's do this. Make this real personal. I want everybody to make this unique and customize this to yourself. Where do you feel like you're limited? Where do you feel like you're not making progress? You feel like you're in a box. It could be in your health. It could be in your learning. It could be in your career. It could be in your impact. It could be any area of your life. Where do you feel like you're in a box? Now that box by definition, it's three-dimensional, and the three forces that keep you in that box are the same three forces that will liberate any of us as an individual or as a community or as a world also as well. And the three forces I'm going to represent with these three circles. So I want everyone to just think about three intersecting circles that look like Mickey Mouse, like two ears and a face. And they overlap a little bit. And so these are the three M's that I talk about in order to be limitless. And the last M are your methods. And I tend to alliterate everything. I tend to rhyme or use acronyms just to make it easy to store. But these are the three M's to making personal progress, because this is a framework not only for accelerated learning, it's for a framework for unlocking like our true potential. And so the last one are methods. And initially this book, before I turned it in, was all on methodology, the things you and I have talked about in our previous episode: how to read 3 times faster, how to remember names, how to change your habits, how to be able to focus and concentrate in a difficult, challenging world full of rings and pings and dings. And then I asked myself, before I sent it to my publisher, I asked myself this question, and I apologize for the background noise. I happen to be in the center of New York City, quarantined here, so it's
Well, it just opened up today, right?
yeah.
So there's all the noise.
There is noise in the background, and so this is real and this is raw. So when we're talking about before I hit send to my publisher, I asked myself this question. I said, will 100% of the people get the results that they were hoping for if they read this book? And my honest answer was no, because there are two elements that were missing. And those are the first two M's that come before methodology. And the methodology could be the system. It could be an individual system for reading faster, or for investing, or for building a business, or for getting healthy, or it could be it could be a big system, right, in the form of policy. And so we have methodology, but methods, a lot of people know the methods, but they're not happening in the world individually or as a group. You have to check in with individual and collective mindset, and also the second M, which is motivation. Okay, so let's break this down. And so this is going to be extremely practical, I promise everybody here. So the first M is mindset. As we've described, a set of assumptions and attitudes about something, about the world, about humanity, about yourself. And I mentioned some of the things that would be in there that everyone can relate to are things that you believe is possible. Like, do you believe change is possible? So that's one thing. Do you believe you could build that business or have that impact? Do you believe that that this cause is something that's possible, right? Because all behavior is belief driven. And if we don't address the belief, then, for example, somebody could believe, I could teach someone a method for how to remember names, but their belief is I'm not smart enough or I'm just too old, then the method's not going to work, right? So what you believe is possible, what you believe you're capable of. Maybe you believe it's possible, but you believe you're not capable of having that or helping create that new reality. What you believe you deserve would fall underneath this category also as well, because I feel like we are thermostats that sometimes we have a setting of something in our mind, and we operate according to what we believe we deserve in a relationship, for example, and we always kind of meet that, or possibly an income, or possibly impact. So that would be mindset. And in the book, I talk about 7 lies to learning, but there are also a lot of lies that we need to dispel in the world. A lie for me is an acronym. Of course, it's limited idea entertained.
I wanted to ask you about that.
A lie for me is it's not necessarily true, but it's a limited idea that we give energy to, or we choose in the moment to believe it's true. And the reason why I talk about mindset first is because you can't behave out of alignment with what you believe is fair or true for yourself. And so that's our mindset. And I could go deeper into this. The second M, though, is our motivation. So, for example, you could believe anything is possible in your mind, that's your mindset, and you could even have the right methods for change. But if you're not motivated, you're still stuck in that box, right? If you're not motivated, if you don't have drive, you don't have purpose, somebody could still be stuck in that box. So think about that area that's personal to you. It could be what's going on in your world, or in our world, collectively, and check with your mindset. Do you believe it's possible? Do you believe you're capable of supporting this? Do you believe it's deserving? And also, but then you can have the methods, but you're not motivated. So motivation for me is a 3-step formula. Think about an area where you lack drive. And for me, evidence that someone is motivated is not what they say or not even what they feel, it's what they do. Because I believe the life we live are the lessons we teach. The life we live are the lessons we teach. Somebody could say they're motivated to have positive change, or they could feel motivated, but if they're not doing something, they're not truly motivated. And so motivation for me, 3-step formula: P times E times S3. P times E times S3. So let's do a thought experiment. Let's say we wanted to build the ultimate motivated human being, right? And let's take it very basic. Let's say this person wants to be motivated to exercise, something just simple, right? But they're not doing consistently. You need those 3 things: P times E times S3. So the P stands for purpose. Purpose. And I don't mean intellectual purpose. A lot of people intellectually know certain things in their mind, but they're not acting with their hands, meaning it goes from your head to your heart to your hands. That's the syntax for change. You could believe something in here or set a goal here for change, individual or collectively, but if you're not acting with your hands, people need to allow themselves to feel the second age, which is your heart, which are the emotions, because we are not logical, we are biological. You think about dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, endorphins, we are this chemical soup of emotions, and we don't do something unless we feel it. We can know what's right in our heads, but if we're not acting with our hands, even with what's going on right now, whether it's voting or protesting or donating or doing the things that are positive, but if you don't feel it, you're not going to make that change.
Yep.
So the P, purpose, meaning, again, not intellectual. Everyone knows intellectually why they should exercise and eat right, or do some reading every single day. But if they don't feel it, and I think it's important when I talk about purpose, it's not just the positive feelings. It's not just feeling the positivity of what's going to come from it. It's also feeling allowing yourself to feel uncomfortable, because when things are uncomfortable, usually that's when change happens. And so what's going to happen if we don't make change right now, individually or collectively, and allow yourself to feel that uncomfortable, because it adds fuel, energy to the car that we're driving together. So that P stands for purpose. Now, when somebody has unyielding, limitless motivation, I mean where it doesn't get, a lot of people will get excited about something for the moment and say, like, okay, they get hyped up and they see something on television, or they go to a seminar, get excited, okay, I'm going to change my life and change the world, A, B, and C. But the next morning, A, B, and C doesn't happen, because they're either not feeling the purpose, right, positive and negative, or my mind said, okay, if somebody just has purpose, will they always be motivated to act? And I said, no, they could be lacking the E. The E stands for energy. Energy. Simple example, working out. Somebody could feel the purpose of working out, and they could feel like, oh, they want to live longer, they want to be able to have energy, do these things, but maybe they have a newborn, or they're so stressed out because of what's going on in the world, they haven't slept in 3 nights, they're not going to be very motivated to maybe work out that day. Or we know, like, leaders are readers, right? And I think everyone should read 30 minutes a day, every single day, just because reading is to your mind what exercise is to your body. But let's say we had a big processed meal and you're in a food coma, you could have purpose, but you don't have the energy. So that's why we've talked about in the previous episode, different things you can do to optimize your sleep, the best brain diet, how to mitigate stress, because chronic stress shrinks your brain. And chronic fear actually makes you more susceptible to colds, the flus, the viruses. It's a whole area of science called psychoneuroimmunology. But energy is so important. Or you might be around energy vampires that are just saying, why are you doing this, every single night? Or why are you listening to this? Or why are you watching? People could steal your energy too, so you can lack energy. So fortify your energy. And then finally, my mind said, okay, if somebody has enough purpose and they feel it, if they have an abundance of limitless energy, will they always act? And my mind was like, no, there's another exception. They could be missing S3. S3 stands for small, simple steps. small, simple steps. Because often when people are going after something, they can have a big purpose, they have a vision for things, but they haven't broken it down into something that's bite size. Because I believe inch by inch, it's a cinch, yard by yard, it could be too hard in your mind. Going
Mm-hmm.
back to the for just application of exercise, for somebody who doesn't exercise regularly, working out for an hour could be just so intimidating,
Yep.
confusing, and a confused mind doesn't do anything. So a small, simple step is, instead of working out for an hour, it's putting on your running shoes. Maybe instead of reading 45 minutes a day and studying, so you can become aware and you can learn. Um, maybe reading is too long, but maybe opening up a book is a small, simple step, or reading one line in a book is a small, simple step. Or so how you get your small, simple step, simple question. What is the tiniest action I could take to help make progress towards this goal? What is the tiniest action I could take right now to give me progress towards this goal? And you break it down into small, simple steps. And I believe little by little, can become a lot, especially collectively. Everything that everybody does, little by little, it adds up to a whole lot. So I think that's the formula for sustained motivation, meaning find a purpose, allow yourself to feel it, make sure you have energy and you're taking care of yourself, because it's really hard to be motivated if you're not filling up the well. And then finally break things down into small, simple steps, because if it's too confusing or intimidating, you get overwhelmed, and a confused person doesn't do anything. And
I
that's motivation.
love this. I feel like when I'm hearing you, I've been writing notes just to even identify my own. And energy is definitely one. And then the small, simple steps.
It's big.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are very purpose driven. If they stall, check in with your fuel. And again, you don't have energy, you do energy. People, we're in this mass hypnosis. I really think this conversation is about transcending, ending the trance, ending this mass hypnosis. These lies that maybe are propagated through media or marketing, that we're not enough, or that we're not X, right?
Yeah.
And we have to be very careful of those kind of thoughts. And so what we're focusing on is feel the purpose, allow yourself to have. So for example, a lot of people say, I don't have focus today to do this. I don't have creativity to do this. I don't have energy. I don't have motivation. I don't have, blank. But these aren't things you have. These are things you do. And when you take these nouns and you turn them into verbs, then it gives you your power back, right?
Yeah.
Up and just say, oh, I hope I have energy to be able to this. You actually do things to be able to help create more energy. So you have mindset, you have motivation, and you have the methods. And the methods, if mindset is what's possibility, motivation is purpose, then the methods are the actual process. What are the processes you're going to take, in terms of the system to be able to do that? Now, in the book, we talk about processes for reading faster, improving your memory, focus, concentration, but it could be processes for building a business, processes for being healthy, processes for making, social change. And so then you could focus on the methods, because the mindset and the motivation are there. Because here's the thing, here's the aha for a lot of people. If you drew out this Venn diagram, these three circles, where mindset crosses over with motivation, I'm going to give you three eyes. You have inspiration. Now, you have mindset experts. You have great books on mindset, a great book by Dr. Carol Dweck called Mindset. You have people that are very motivational books. Where they cross over, you have inspiration, and they're inspiring speakers, that are leading movement. There are inspiring books, there are inspiring movies. And what does an inspiring movie do for you? It changes a little bit about what's possible in your mindset, energy and drive, and your motivation. But the challenge with just dealing with inspiration, someone can be inspired, but they don't know what to do because they lack the methods. Now, where mindset crosses over with methods, you have the second eye, which is ideation. Mindset is what you believe in your head is possible, what you believe you deserve, what you believe you're capable of. Methods are in your head, are the things that you need to do, but you lack motivation, right? So you're still stuck in that box, and it just stays an idea. Like, I think so an idea about, I have this idea that I could read faster, an idea that we could live in a socially just society. It just stays an idea without the motivation. And then finally, the third I, where motivation crosses over with methods, motivation and methods, you have implementation. Somebody is motivated, they found the purpose, they have energy. And when I say energy, it could be as an individual having energy, or it could be resources, it could be time, it could be money, some resources at a collective or societal level. And they could break things down to small, simple steps, and they know the methods for making long lasting change, but they could still be stuck in that box because the collective mindset or the individual mindset hasn't changed of what's possible, or what people deserve. Now the last I, I'll throw in fourth I, where the three M's, mindset, motivation, and methods, converge, or the three I's converge: inspiration, ideation, and implementation. You have a fourth I, and that's integration. Integration, kind of like integer or integral back in school, it means it's whole. And integration is just who you are. And for me, that is the limitless state. And so this framework for me is a framework, it's a lens to look at not only accelerated learning, but for unlocking human potential. Because when I talk about becoming limitless, for me, the limitless resource we have on planet Earth is human potential, right? The sky is not the limit. Our minds and our hearts are the limit, right? There is no limit to creativity. There's no limit to our imagination, what we can imagine in terms of being better, doing better and being better. There's no limit to our ability to come together. There's no limit to human determination, and faith and persistence. And so I wrote this book as a real owner's manual for our mind. So when we get those three areas aligned, we could live in a more limitless world.
I love that. Like, I feel like that alone is a seminar that is like beyond priceless. Before we move on from that, Sanaa, do you have anything you want to ask him regarding this limitless model?
Yes, it's so intriguing. I'm thinking about it even with my own life, because I've been wanting to exercise. So now all I have to do is put on my running shoes and I can say I did it.
It's step one. It's the small, simple steps. It's then you can
Small
build off of
steps.
that. I love it.
One thing I wanted to ask, with everything going on, a lot of times we're seeing some people who are racist and they have these ideologies and mindsets that have been embedded in their minds for like years. How would your method of thinking limitless and changing behavior, how could it be incorporated into their daily lives to unlearn those behaviors?
Great question.
Yes, and I think you used that's such a powerful word, unlearn, because I believe when we're talking about the majority of these limitations, that these limits really that they were learned. And because we talked about in a previous episode, Maria, that I had a brain injury and I had learning difficulties, and when I was 9 I was slowing down the entire class, and the teacher pointed to me and said, "That's the boy with the broken brain." And I think she was coming to my defense because I was being teased a lot and bullied by my classmates. I think they were saying, "Oh, this kid has challenges," but all I remembered was broken brain. That's what I got out of it, and that label became my limit. It put me in that box, but it wasn't like I was born with that label, right? And I feel like a lot of limits are learned, and what we believe is possible is a learned thing. What we believe we're capable is a learned thing. What we believe we deserve could also be learned because of media, because of our environment, because of our experiences and everything. So how do you go through a process of unlearning these things? And I call this term unlimiting. Unlimiting, for me, unlimited is like static. And I'm not really big for one, just like nouns having something or not having it. Being unlimited is something that's fixed, but unlimiting is the active removal of limits. Like, really what I love about these conversations that we're having right now, even whether it's the pandemic, or anything else, is we're having conversations about redrawing the borders and boundaries of what's fair and what's possible, right? And sometimes it takes an external force, like, for example, going to motivation, just something simple everyone can relate to. purpose, right? I know somebody, an acquaintance, not a friend, but an acquaintance that just had a very unhealthy lifestyle and would do all the things that you would know that would make somebody unhealthy. And eventually everyone close to him said, you look, you got to stop doing smoking. You got to start doing this, and still wouldn't change. And he ended up having a heart attack, almost died, had triple bypass surgery. He lived, and then he still didn't change anything. He went back to his old habits. Because the challenge is they say, I talk about in the book, we have about 50 to 70,000 thoughts a day. The challenge are 95% of those thoughts are the same thoughts we had yesterday and the day before that and the day before that. So how do you have change if we're always reinforcing the same thoughts and beliefs? Find that a lot of times people don't change because what they're really looking to do is validate what they already think is what things are. They're looking for evidence saying that they're right. Even when people, they aren't really listening. Like, I think now is an opportune time to listen, but we're not really listening. We're just thinking about, we're waiting for our turn to speak.
Yes.
That we're thinking about how we are going to respond and validate, like ours. And one of the things that keep us learning slowly is just not be able to entertain somebody else's point of view. But going back to purpose, this gentleman, he had a heart attack, almost died, still didn't change his lifestyle. And I see him on the streets a few years later, and he's the picture of health. He looks so much younger, so much fitter. And I was like, well, what happened? Like, he was like, oh, I changed my lifestyle. I started to exercise. I started eating this. And I'm like, but you didn't do that after you had a heart attack, almost died. And he was like, yeah, but one day I came home and my daughter was crying and crying and crying, and tears wouldn't stop crying. And I find out that she had a dream that I had passed and wasn't going to be there to be able to be there for to walk me down the aisle and this whole thing, right? But that was an emotional purpose, and I feel like one of the things that get us to change are these stories, are the things that we're feeding our mind, are the things that life conditions that force a spark. There's this quote that I just posted, I reposted from, I think it was Leslie Dwight. I don't know if it's my latest post talked about what if 2020 isn't canceled.
Yep.
Have you had this post?
I loved this post. I didn't see it on yours. I'll pull it
I've
up.
got
so
it. I can read it real
go
quick.
ahead, read
Yeah,
it.
it says, what if 2020 isn't canceled? What if 2020 is the year we've been waiting for? A year so uncomfortable, so painful, so scary, so raw that it finally forces us to grow. A year that screams so loud, finally awakening us from our ignorant slumber. A year we finally accept the need for change, declare change, work for change, become the change. A year we finally band together instead of pushing each other further apart. 2020 isn't canceled, but rather the most important year of them all.
Yep.
Yeah.
I love that.
Really believe that I don't have a simple answer for this. What I know is, and I'd love to have the deeper conversation about this, is that in terms of mindset, motivation, and methods, is that we need to, in order to change, things are learned, and I have a universal belief that things can be unlearned also, but people need the purpose to do so, because unlearning, it takes a lot of energy, it takes a lot of commitment to study, to be able to be open to another person's point of view, to be able to have compassion. But I think that that individual that maybe is stuck in a way of thinking, just in any way of thinking, they need a big enough purpose, something to affect them personally, so that they feel it and it becomes the spark, and then they need something to do with that energy, in terms of breaking down the small, simple step, because those small, simple steps builds consistency and commitment over time. And so sometimes it takes a life condition to wake people up out of their norm, out of their matrix, in terms of how they like to see the world. But people need to have commitment. Even when I train individuals, I only find that I have long lasting change if somebody is, number one, motivated, because you can't teach somebody who's not motivated to do anything, right? We can't change somebody. Just think about how hard it is to change ourselves, right? In things, to get ourselves to do things. So if somebody has to have that motivation, and they also have the mindset where they're open to new ideas and such. And some people that hold us back from change, it's unfortunate, because I feel like some of those people are the people closest to us, either families or friends. And, sometimes it's because we give them the power to hold because of fear of looking bad to others, or what are people going to think if I make this post or I make this statement, and this expectations and opinions of others. I want to remind everybody that we have one life here. Why aren't we acting as if we are on fire, moving towards something? Because when we're taking our final breaths, and I spent a lot of time in senior centers. I lost my grandmother to Alzheimer's, so I spent a lot of time helping seniors polish off their memories and such. But you hear a lot of regret, and then the biggest regret I hear consistently from people at that stage of their life is that that they shrunk their life. They didn't express themselves. They didn't do the things that they knew that was right, or the things they know that they should have. They didn't pursue this relationship maybe because of what people would think if they dated, or they pursued a certain career path because it was expected by their parents, or they didn't do something. And I would remind everybody that when we are taking our final breaths, the other people's opinions and our fears, none of that's going to matter. What's going to matter is how we loved, how we learned, and how we lived. Because I believe the life we live are the lessons we teach. And and whoever is listening to this, that individual where that hits home, it's just that other people's opinions, when you are in that box, is not a pleasant conversation. I didn't think we were going to go in there, but like when we're in that box in the ground, there's no space in there for possessions. And people can have all the toys and everything else that makes you happy. That's great, but there's also no space for regrets. And now is the time to take those actions. And I think that the world, based even that quote, depending on how people interpret it, that 2020, as many people entered it, was 2020 like vision, right? 2020 sight, vision. And I would say now is a great time to go back inside, as we are cocooning, or alone with our fears, our doubts, our concerns, we might be feeling alone and everything, is to reconnect with. A lot of people suffer from burnout, or they feel like they're too tired because they're doing too much. I think a lot of those same people, they're not burnt out because they're doing too much. They're burnt out because they're doing too little that makes a difference. They're doing too little of the things that make them come alive. And contribution, service to others, make people come to life, because everything in nature grows and everything in nature gives. Everything it does. If it's not growing, it dies. And if it's not giving back to the environment, to each other, then it becomes extinct. And I really feel like that's really what lights people up. And the benefit of it, you don't give, to get, you give because it's who you are, right? That's why we're here. That's how we become limitless together. When you are your brother's or your sister's keeper and you have each other's back, that's the way we could all level up, together. And so I don't know, I could rant on this for a while.
I could sit here and listen to you rant forever. What an incredible point. Burnout isn't always because you're just tired. It's because you're not giving, you're not living your purpose, probably, right?
Yeah, and I think a big part of purpose is making a difference. Even when I said chronic stress shrinks your brain, or chronic fear actually makes you more susceptible to viruses and everything, I feel like part of it is just also taking care of yourself, because mental and emotional health right now, I'm so concerned. Like I'm a big on words, because words have an effect on our brains. It's like we're not socially distancing right now. We are being social right now. We're physically distancing ourselves. We're not socially distancing ourselves. We're not mentally distancing ourselves. We're not emotionally distancing ourselves. And I think right now, also just a reminder for everybody, just that mental and emotional health transcends gender, race, sexuality, socioeconomic status, religion, ethnicity, national borders. No matter who you are, where you come from, what you believe, the need for hope and getting help is really universal. And so it's just a reminder to people who are struggling right now, that kindness, that while viruses and fear and anger is contagious, so is positivity, so is compassion, so is love, so is wisdom, so is kindness, right? Kindness is so important more than ever right now, because I'm gonna get it. First of all, kindness is free, so I don't understand why people aren't sprinkling that stuff like this. You never know how hurt somebody is, right? Somebody you could be standing right next to or walking right past, down on the street. They could be struggling with the battle of their life. They could be facing the biggest thing in their life, and you wouldn't even know. So just asking people and connecting, and are you okay? And remember, just for people who are struggling, nobody does it alone. right? Asking for help is a sign of strength. And, so I'm sending prayers and love to anyone who especially needs it right now, and that you inspire people with your grit and your grace. And my biggest question for everyone right now is, what's a story you want to tell about this time?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you'll progress weeks from now, months from now, years from now, right? And people are asking you about living during this time. Like, I mean, you can't even make up like all the situation that we're in right now. But what's the story you want to tell, and then work towards that.
I love it. Yeah, I want to be a part of history. I know, Sanal, you want to be a part of history. I think we all want to be a part of making change and doing the right thing. And I'm trying to do that with all of my platforms. Um, and and I think that's the only story, right?
Yeah, and I mean the metaphor that I'm thinking about is that of a butterfly. It's kind of cliche, but a butterfly universally is this profound symbol of transformation. And I feel like we are, it's when the caterpillar feels like it's the end of the world that it becomes the butterfly.
Mm-hmm.
But while the beauty is in the butterfly, the growth happens in the cocoon. And right now we have an opportunity to be able to level up, level up not only our learning, but our life and the life of other people around us.
Beautiful words, Jim. Thank you so much. There's so much in this book that I've highlighted and marked and wanting to talk about. So we're going to have to do a second session on this, if you would be so kind at some point. I want to talk about the 4Ds and so many more things that we had time for today. But if you
just really quickly,
yeah,
I appreciate everything that you do, not only with the podcast, with AfterBuzzer, just everything, because you and your team, having spent time with you, I mean, we need more of this. Like you are especially. Well, I can't believe it's been 3 years, but you are an unstoppable force of nature, an inspiring force for good, and we need more people to do this and do this now. So many people are clinging to a world that, just like that caterpillar could cling to a world that was, as opposed to progressing and continuing the cycle. I have a quote in the book, it's in the beginning of the book, from a French philosopher that says, life is the C between B and D. Life is C between B and D. B is birth, D is death, C, choice. Our life is a series of choices, and we're making these choices every single moment of every single day. From simple things like, what are we going to eat today, or who are we going to spend time with, to what we're going to do to make a positive change. And I believe wholeheartedly that these difficult times, they could define us. These difficult times can diminish us, or these difficult times can develop us. We decide. We always have a choice, in terms of what to focus on. We have a choice about what things mean. We have choices about the small, simple steps, that we could take every single day. We have a choice for what we're going to stand for and not fall for. And so I just want to remind everybody that Limitless it's more than just learning faster. That's the easy thing, but it's really about claiming who you are and remembering who you are, and who's counting on you right now. Like, when I talk about purpose, like, we're donating 100% of the proceeds to charity, 100%
of the book.
of the book.
Wow.
So for girls who have no access to education, clean water, healthcare, and Alzheimer's brain health research. And so, like, I think you learn so you could earn, so you could return. You learn so you could earn, so you can return and be able to give back. And that's really the focus. I want to thank everyone who's listening right now, that's doing their part. Sometimes we have to fight through some of the worst bad days of our life to be able to earn the best days. And I encourage people to have faith and to imagine what you want most in your life. Like imagine it, visualize it, feel it, believe it, and then work daily for it. Be too optimistic to scare, to be too positive to doubt, be too determined to be defeated. I mean, this is how I'm being inspired constantly, by look for the heroes, and look for the people that are really making a difference. It's so easy for our brains to get hijacked by the evil that's out there. And what I'm saying is that don't dim your light because it's shining into other people's eyes. You want to be able to shine bright right now and be an example for everyone around you that's counting on us.
Wow. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. The book is called Limitless. It's available wherever books are sold. It's written by the great Jim Kwik, who I'm so grateful to you for your time today and your words and your inspiration and your lessons.
I would challenge everyone to do what they did last time. If they could take a screenshot of this conversation, and I really do believe when I'm talking about a butterfly, there's a butterfly effect in science, that a butterfly flapping its wings in LA could create a tsunami of change across the globe. That's how systems work, and we're all connected. And so, like, what are we flapping right now? What are we putting out there? And I wish you happy birthday. I challenge everyone to take a screenshot, tag everybody who's having this conversation right now, post it online, and share just one idea that you feel like, because you never know where that ripple effect stops, because I don't think it ever does. And we could create that positive change, globally, and we could change the cosmos that way. And so take a screenshot, post it online. I'll actually repost some of my favorite thoughts that people share from this conversation. And I'll actually gift a copy of the book to a couple people that post, just as
wonderful.
a thank you, spreading the good word.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, we're going to have to, Jeff, you're on top of creating a post.
I'm on it.
We'll create a post and you can retweet it with your post. And so, yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Life is like an egg.
Effect.
If an egg is broken by an outside force, life ends. But if it's broken by an inside force, life begins. Great things begin on the inside. And everyone who's listening, everyone who's watching has greatness inside of you, and just like, let's let it out now. When's a better time than right now?
That's exactly the right thing. It is now. We started our show with that quote, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was one of my favorites. I loved it so much. All right, Jim. Thank you so much.
Happy birthday. Wish you
you.
your next adventure around the sun.
Thank you. Well, I'm going to have a better time now that I've identified some of my limiting beliefs and now I know where I have to attack. So that's why I took copious notes for myself. This is my own therapy session too. All right. Sanaa, was this your first Better Together episode? Have you ever listened to the show before?
Yes, I've listened to the show before, but this is my first time, actually being here and being able to see it all in action.
So, how amazing is Jim?
Amazing. I wish I was at the AfterBuzzer Summit. I wish I was a part of the group, the team at that point, so I could have just listened to him. You can listen to him all day long.
I know. And
just hear him talk, because now I know a lot of different things that's making me that I can be limitless with.
Yeah. We'll have to ask Jim to send you his book. You'll be one of the ones. So Jeff will ask for that.
Thank you.
Because I think if you read it, it's amazing. And he's such a great speaker. And he really, obviously, for someone who went from, being called the boy with the broken brain, had a traumatic brain injury, to being this memory brain expert, it just shows you what we're really capable of.
It's really inspiring. Yeah, I don't want to interrupt Sanaa, but I was just going to say, for him he's the evidence of why purpose and motivation are what drives people to be incredible.
Yep.
The fact that he's giving away 100% of the profits of this book, he has set a completely tangible purpose for his life, and he is running for that purpose 100% of the time, which is why he's so brilliant. He's designed his life to be that way. It's incredible.
I have so many things that I wrote down in here too. Just the fact that burnout isn't necessarily what you think. It's because you're not giving and you're not living your purpose, and how kindness and compassion are contagious. So you can choose what state you want to be in. And that's, I think, what I've really tried to do in these last 3 years is I've tried to live in a positive state with forgiveness and with love and with compassion and with empathy. And so, it was my choice to live in that state. And I think it's done me really well. And so it was nice to hear him say all of that. But yeah, I mean, and not that, and the other part is that we don't have energy. We do energy. So getting your power back, I think, is so cool. Anyhow, I could go on all day.
Speaking of Power Maria, we do have our Good News Monday if we want to end the show with that.
We do?
Yes.
We have our official partnership with the Good News Movement starting today?
Yeah. Well, we did it a couple weeks ago, and Michelle Figueroa, who's been on the show, is mentioning us in her comments, which is so great. We'll do the same thing for her. But
okay, then we need to lead with it every Monday.
I know. I should have put it. I have it on the rundown, but I should have put it first thing.
And just remind me verbally.
We'll do. But this is definitely worth including. We'll do it quickly. Stephen, I sent you the Instagram, but I don't know if you guys saw. There was a beautiful couple that got married during a Black Lives Matter protest in Philadelphia. Stephen, if you could throw up that video, that'd be amazing.
So cool.
This is Dr. Carrie Ann Perkins and Michael Gordon. They got married at the Logan Hotel in Philadelphia. Talk about your wedding is a huge part of your story, but talk about making your story so much bigger through that act of courage.
I just got the chills. Her wedding dress, not to be like superficial right now, but I'm a girl and she's got a wedding dress on, is maybe my favorite gown I've ever seen. She was stunning.
Laura said the exact same thing this morning. She goes, "Oh my God, that dress."
but I just love that photo. I mean, and that moment that they created for themselves is really cool. Really special.
Totally. Incredible stuff.
They could say they got married during history. Their wedding anniversary is history.
Yeah. So now one last question for you, because I mean, I have a zillion that we could go to, but how long do you think you will be able to sustain protesting outside?
Until justice is served.
I love it.
For me, the biggest thing that's been motivating me is my ancestors. And for me, just knowing that my ancestors had to go through so much more, like getting dogs, having dogs run and bite them and attack them, as well as water hoses and so much more lynching. This is nothing. We can do this, and I can continue to do this every day. I know my feet hurt a lot, so sometimes I have to rest.
I have some tips for that I will share with you. Little CBD cream never hurts. A little Vaseline never hurts. Mm-hmm.
I'm going to have to try those methods, because then I can be unstoppable and limitless to my protesting. But I will continue until justice is served. And a lot of people think it's just George Floyd. No. We've got Breonna Taylor. We've got Tamir Rice. We have so many other people that, are victims to police brutality. And we're not going to let go until justice is served.
I love it. Well, we are right there with you. Sanaa, thank you so much for being on the show today and for sharing. And tomorrow, we have another friend of mine on the show, superstar, WWE superstar Charlotte Flair will be here. We had a really great conversation last time she was here, so we're going to be chatting with her tomorrow. If you want to find out more about Jim Kwik, you can go to his social, at Jim Kwik, Kwik, or at Kwik Learning. We'll put all of that in the summary. And yeah. Sanaa, what's your social handle?
Oh, yes. You guys can follow me on Instagram at @Iam_Sanaa. That's SANA_. And on Twitter at @Iam_Sanaa.
Okay. At Stephen Lemieux Photo, at Jeff Crane Graham. In the meantime, everybody, be nice people, make good choices, and be present.